ഇരിക്കരുത്. ആരെങ്കിലും ഇരിക്കുകയാണ്.
I'll just start off with some random stuff. Then we'll get into the topics. Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think? Shall we go ahead? Take clap one. Action.
Clap one. Scene one. Action one.
This is my chai. Generally, I drink coffee. I just want to have one quick question. In the entire framework of daily drinks, why is coffee a premium and chai is not? Is it because of Starbucks making it premium? I don't know. I'm just wondering.
No. Coffee was already premium. Starbucks ഒക്കെ വരുന്നതിന് മുമ്പ് നോക്കിയാല്, if you look at Kerala also, നമ്മുടെ AKG അങ്ങനെയുള്ളവരൊക്കെ കോഫി ഡ്രിങ്കിങ് ഒരു പുതിയ അത് കൊണ്ടുവന്നപ്പോഴും ചായക്കട വാസ് ഓൾറെഡി എക്സിസ്റ്റന്റ്. അപ്പൊ ചായക്കട വാസ് നോട്ട് സോ പ്രീമിയം. കോഫി എന്താണ് നമ്മുടെ ഇതിന്റെ കോഫി ഹൗസ് വാസ് പ്രീമിയം.
But I think places like Starbucks also have a big role to play in that. Right? In recent times, there's a lot of status symbol. I tell my daughter, I'll get you a Starbucks cup, and we make coffee at home and put it in that, because she doesn't want to drink it for the drink itself. It's just about having that Starbucks drink, right? I don't know if the brand also that.
Coffee also it is already there. We are building Starbucks built on top of what was already there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Never thought about that.
It's basically because of the availability then. So for example, I was last time in Ooty, I was visiting one of the tea factory. They had put in a big space of saying that what is the history of tea. The English bought the tea from China here, and that's how England started drinking tea. So it was grown here. It was never grown in England. And they wanted India to drink the tea. Indians were never drinking the tea. Then they made it very popular and they made it available everywhere. And that's why when it became massy, the premium factor would have got lost.
Tea plantations were already there. Why would you want to plant coffee? Because coffee commands more price.
Okay. And the stores like Starbucks and all built on top of that. They made it little more cool and sexy. They brought in the Italian names. Whenever some Italian name comes in, it sounds very cool. The ventis, the lattes, the
cappuccino. Coffee.
Yeah, coffee is from there. The names come from Latin. I mean, for Italy. That's my point. Yeah. Sorry, Anand, you're saying.
I was saying that I agree. I think Latin America probably produces maximum amount of coffee, right? And it's funny, right? There are certain nations which are many nations are good coffee drinkers, right? For example, all of US, it's heavily coffee.
And most of these companies, whether it's a pharma guy or a Eureka guy, they all in the evening meet up in the coffee house. That's when they evaluate the work. So that's a like 1 hour exercise for them. So if you walk into a Indian coffee house at a 5, 6 and all, you don't get a place because it's all filled up with these people who are actually sales guys.
Yeah, but there's one more reason for that. There's one more reason for that, Abhi. In Indian coffee house, once you go and sit there, you can sit there for hours with just one coffee. Nobody will ask you to vacate.
Correct.
So this was like a free meeting place for all these medical representatives and all of them. Every evening go there and hang out.
And students. And it was economical. It wasn't very expensive. It was affordable. It was good coffee. So I think that. Raju, to the question that you asked earlier, coming to the point, I mean, for me, I'm someone who's, I would say, was a victim of one size fits all approach. And there was a time where I was also teaching, and I'm part of that offering of one size fits all, where I would go to a class of 60 or I've taken classes of 100, 120. And it's very evident. And I was telling Shalini once that, I would set a target that if 5% of the people, and I'm talking about a crowd of 100, if 5% of the people are changing or getting benefited out of that exercise, I would be very happy. But truly speaking, that's not great, because you still have to think there's a 95% of people who are really not benefiting out of it, because what is being taught or how is it being taught is not really relevant to them. From there, when we actually spoke about unique as a concept or a thought process, when we said, hey, that's actually what do I say, a reinforcement of the strong belief that individuals need to be evaluated differently, understood differently, and handled differently. And even today, it's still a concept. I think it will evolve over the time. But I think that is what I thought would attracted me to this idea of getting together under the umbrella of Unique.
So
Yeah.
actually, all classes are structured to cater to the slowest learner. So which also impacts the others. The average would slow down. The highest would get bored. So that part of it is also not so good for the others, because you're trying to bring everyone into it. So probably that lowest to mid is what your pace is also. All teachers adjust to that.
Yeah.
Because you want to bring.
Yes or no? I'll tell you why. Because I also think it is teacher specific. It would be designed for the weak or the average. But some teachers who actually come from a different mindset, for them they cannot go beyond a standard. And I personally have an experience of someone pitching it very high, and the most intelligent ones in the class could easily understand that. And there was a majority of the people who were not able to follow, and that later led to a situation that they started hating that subject. Math, it happens in a lot of places. We actually look at a lot of people like maths because of teachers, and they do not like maths because of the teachers also.
Maths is a classic example, but so is it a issue with the class size? Because one class in India in a typical course will be 40-60 people, and how do teacher adapt to it? How can a teacher humanly possible to differentiate and teach? Is it because of the teaching methodology, or is it because of the way in which it all started? Because we were all the school curriculum started in India was just because it was supposed to cater to certain kind of profession, which is like clerks and accountants and everything for the British. And then we evolved it from there.
I think you make a good point. I think, if you were to look back, I believe our current education system was modeled around the time of Industrial Revolution. And what was the need? We were trying to make machines, we were trying to make machine parts, and you had, for the first time, we had assembly lines in the manufacturing facilities. You did not want people to apply too much of intelligence. You just wanted them to do repetitive job, do it faster, quicker, and good with certain quality standards, right? So you needed discipline, you needed a ability to do what has been told and do it well, right? So the education system was to cater to that. You need certain people to be mechanics, certain people to be, maybe ironsmiths, to plumbers, to welders, to whatever, right? And that model of education, I think, has kind of broadened out as time went by. But fundamentally, in the education system, I think there's no change. Even today, there are certain defined tracks, and people are expected to pick one of the tracks, and we keep doing more of the same. And to some extent, I think the societal thinking has also been kind of constrained. Like, as parents, how many of us step back and say, okay, why don't we, really indulge my child to see what the true passions, interests are, and I want a person to charter, his or her own career. I'm not saying people don't do that, but I'm saying a vast majority of people probably still influence and think in a certain blinkered fashion. And I think this goes back to, you know, way back at the time of the Industrial Revolution. Time to rethink that whole model and, make a change.
No, I think it's somewhere between what Raju said and Naren said. The school system was not designed for what Naren said. The school system is kind of, covers all subjects, right? It's not meant for skilling you for a job. So after school is when what you said sets in, where you have the, the skilling education, where you go for polytechnics or any of these kind of education, where you're being trained for an industrial type of a job. But school system currently covers a vast majority of subjects. There, I think what Raju said makes sense, because the size of the class could be one reason where we are not able to tailor it. Of course, you have to come up with methods in which it will match majority, and it's easier to go with average rather than the highest or lowest.
No, if you
Sorry, why
actually
don't you
look at the
complete?
Gurukulam days, I'm just thinking that for a family it was optional. Some of the kids would go to school and some would decide to work in the field. So generally, it will be a small number which would go to a Gurukulam, and you'll have a guru who actually focuses a lot on the individual and the skill also. It's not the knowledge alone which is important, because they are there in the house the whole day. They actually work in the field. They do everything there. So from there, when education was not an option, where everyone were forced to go to school, then you had the best or you had the average or the worst. They all had just one choice to go to school. So suddenly it became a 60 or a 70, where it was not a choice. And that actually evolved later also. For your higher education also, you had just few options, very few options. So you have to fit into what is the option available if you really want to go in and get educated. But today, I think it's opening up a little bit. It is not essential that you have to be a doc or an engineer or I mean, you can always look at multiple options. So I think number and options are I think factors which determine a lot of personalization, I feel.
Coming. I think it's now the time to leverage on technology as well as leverage on number of people and number of the skills of the teachers, etc., to make it little more differentiated, because the world is much more nuanced and world is much more differentiated. On that point of technology, I just want to bring in, we are in the age of AI right now. Everyone is thinking about AI. Sally, in 2024, what do you think? Where are we on AI? If you can just give me a couple of 3 points, maybe.
Okay, no, just before getting into AI and what happens in 2024, I just wanted to give some background. Most of us don't know that the terms calculator and computer actually referred to humans who did calculations and computations in the case of, assisting scientists. Okay, from there, at
It was
that
a
point
job.
of time, it was a job. It was a
Okay.
very niche job. I wouldn't call it niche also. So anything in the in military or where research is happening, scientists for space, all these, till mid 20th century, there were young girls who know maths, who were called the computers and the calculators. They would do calculations by hand, computations by hand. Okay, so from there, the equivalent was created to reduce the time that is taken and the errors that come in due to human calculation. Okay, because they don't understand why this is being done. So from there, the computers got built, then calculators got built. So, that was a huge change. So that also displaced a lot of people who were actually doing that job, which brought in efficiency, of course, but you needed people to operate that. And you needed people to come up with methods to make it better, because they know what they were computing, what they were calculating, and what does the calculator and the computer need. So same way, AI is a technology which has come up, just like the digitization of a calculation and a computation. So that is what we will see in the next few years, because this generative AI that has exploded only in the last couple of years. 2022 mid also, nobody knew transformers or pre-trained transformers, which is essentially the GPTs or large language models. Now, GPT is a term which everybody uses. Now, the next trend is to find applications for GPT itself. You would have large language models, which does a lot of things, like Naren was showing. It summarizes content for you. It would give you suggestions on what to do. It actually would be able to do most of your search and summarization on multiple parts. It writes scripts for you. It can even create videos, those which took a lot of time to create using CGI would now take much lesser time. If you know what prompts to give, most of the tedious task has become easier. So people are going to find more and more applications for the AI capabilities that has come in. Likewise, large action models will come in, like we were discussing earlier also. Maybe travel agents will not be booking for you. You could tell a model that this is what you want. It would go search for everything everywhere else in the world and come back with options for you, just like the language model comes back with content to you. Large action models will do your actions also for you. So I think that is the broad trend that
things will get done for you, and things will be in different ways, in different styles, and different.
No, somebody has to build that. It doesn't happen on its own. So what everyone thinks is, when there is something that we don't understand, there are a lot of people who would bring in that fear mongering into the scare mongering into the mix, because you don't understand how it is happening. But AI does not do anything on its own. You can't use the chat GPT to create a video. You have to create a Sora to create a video. So it's not like it has intelligence on its own to do things on its own. You have to find applications where you are able to apply this same principle and get a different outcome. So there would be groups of people who has to develop these applications for you, which will be able to do this. It doesn't happen on its own. So that is where the job shift happens.
And interestingly, this is how the trend has been, whether it was the agricultural age or the industrialization era or the intelligence era that we are now talking about. I think disruptor technology has always been there, and it comes with apprehensions and insecurity. I think history has proven and again that jobs will undergo transformation. I think as individuals, all we have to do is accept this as a reality and evolve accordingly.
You can imagine that when the first car was created, till that time we were traveling using horses, horse carts, all that. Okay. So when a car got invented and that became, Ford started developing or manufacturing. So a lot of jobs got created in the automotive industry, because you need the parts to make it, you need to assemble it, you need drivers to drive this. All that started coming in with a loss of the job, where horses were being, that industry all around maintaining horses, horse carriages, everything got displaced. But comparable or more jobs got created in the automotive industry. So you can look at this exactly the same. Industrialization, automation, all these are essentially the same.
With AI and AI getting better and better, let's not. It's the plain that it will impact many jobs. Okay? But is this the first time? Like you said, even if we don't go way back to horse carts and the car manufacturing, even in the recent past decades, right? The West has been outsourcing a lot of jobs to the East, because that's a job that we did not want to do here in the West. You know, relatively lower value. So move it to a place where it could be done cheaper, faster, and better, right? Just that instead of moving it from one region to another, one person to another, it's just going to be done by technology, by a machine or AI, right? So the whole thing about jobs going away because there's a better way of doing it, that's not the first time in the history. But the other
Yep.
side of the coin, according to me, is we are missing few very important things. One, AI, like Shalini, you said, will create new jobs. It'll enhance the current levels of productivity, our ability to innovate, come up with new solutions, especially in certain areas like medical technology, healthcare, and so many areas it can bring. I mean, space and uh, you know, I mean, think about it, the amount of impact AI can create for us. And the best thing, AI will also significantly enhance our ability to learn new skills, and the whole learning methodology and the content can be significantly improved.
Let's look at AI coming for everything and which all industries will get affected.
Actually, I just want to explain this further. This
Yeah.
says that the AI is coming to these industries, and also these many jobs are also getting created in them for people who know how to use AI. Right now, with the ease that generative AI and all these GPTs has brought in, it's more about knowing how to use it than those displacing you. Like I said earlier, it cannot do things on its own. It doesn't think on its own. You need to make it think. So for that, there needs to be people in the industry, in each of these industries. You don't see anything not covered here. In telecom, in education, you are going to use it. How to use it is the skill that is currently required. Other big shift that you would remember is, like Naren was saying, a lot of jobs getting outsourced to India. A majority was for call centers. And right now, you don't hear about call centers at all. Because that has been replaced by AI already. Nobody even realized that got completely replaced, and it is a fraction of what it.
The report from LinkedIn about the jobs. There are 3 categories of jobs which will come up as per LinkedIn. One will be which is augmented by AI or GAI, generative AI. One will be disrupted by AI completely, and one is definitely insulated by AI. If you remember early 2022-21, people used to say that when the automated vehicles will come, it will completely replace drivers. That also went away as a scare, but now this is more, I believe, based on database evidences. These kind of list has come up. What in a single word will be success for you?
Happiness.
When internet came into being, Gen X and Gen Y quickly adapted to that. We started using emails, we started using Google search and everything. The next generation, the Gen Zs, became very good with social media.
Yeah, 2 hours. Yeah, 1.5, 2 hours.
0 to half an hour, 1 hour. Hyper-personalized and distributed compute in AI.
For me, it'll be something interesting to read what others what is there in someone's mind. It might just break relationship, but it's still good to have it.